Good morning and welcome. My name is Bobby Warshell. I'm the partner channel manager here at Emergency Reporting. Part of my role here is to build relationships with other vendors so that we can offer customers like you additional features and integrated products to help you in your daily routines for managing your own departments. Today we have one of our premier partners, Aladtec, that is going to demo their scheduling product and how it integrates into ER. Quickly, a little housekeeping. The session will be recorded, so you should get a link after the session. Additionally, all the mics will be muted, so if you have any questions, please use the GoToWebinar feature to post your questions. We do have members behind the scenes that'll be watching those to answer them for you. In some cases, we'll hold the questions to the very end and we'll answer them as a group. Any questions we don't get to, we'll answer directly to you after the webinar. With that, I'm going to wrap things up from the ER side and introduce Matt Zinnel, who will be our presenter today. Matt?
All right. Thank you, Bobby. Perfect. Well, exactly like he just described, I will be kind of kicking things off here, just starting it off with our agenda. Today's webinar will be roughly 45 minutes or so long. Again, I will be going through really an initial walkthrough of the Aladtec system, some of the different features and functions, and then also highlighting how the Aladtec scheduling system does integrate over to emergency reporting. So that's really going to be the main focus today. And again, feel free to drop questions that will be answered live through the chat, along with I'll leave some time at the tail end where if there's a question that's going to be easily and more better answered on the screen, I can show those also. But it's just kind of starting off with a little bit about Aladtec. We are a cloud-based scheduling and workforce management software platform. The system is designed to handle unique staffing habits of fire, EMS, and really any other types of public safety agencies. We are based in River Falls, Wisconsin, roughly 30 minutes east of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And our company was started in 2002 as a web-based scheduling system for local ambulance service. Since then, Aladtec has grown to host more than 2,300 agencies with over 145,000 users across all of US and Canada. Our fire, rescue, and EMS customers range from any small, rural departments with 20 members up to any large urban agencies with several hundred firefighters and different paramedics. We do everything in-house at Aladtec, from engineering and configuration to sales and support. And that's one of the great parts about Aladtec is anytime you have questions or if you're stuck on anything, you can always give us a call and you'll speak to a real person in Wisconsin with our live support team. The platform can be accessed online anytime via desktop, tablet, smartphone. Being cloud-based, you can really just get to it through the browser from any sort of device that has internet access. It updates instantly, so users will always have the most current version of your schedule and any other content and the future updates that we roll out to the system. There are no extra costs. We do provide all setup, training, and unlimited telephone support as long as you are a customer. Definitely something that is very important during the initial stages of rolling out any sort of new software platform. It's something we're very proud of, and it's definitely something that is going to help a lot of people in those early stages. With Aladtec, we can really create any sort of schedules as they are very unique in a lot of different departments that I work with. So as long as you can describe the pattern, it's something we can replicate. It doesn't really matter how it varies throughout the months or weeks or any sort of apparatus station, we can definitely get it structured into your schedule and have that streamlined for you. But with all that said, just a little bit of background there. I'm going to turn over to the actual Aladtec system, and we'll give you a walkthrough of the program. Perfect. So just switching over here, what we're looking at right now is the homepage of our desktop version. We are primarily today going to be looking at the desktop version, but about halfway through, I will be also walking you through what it looks like on the mobile site, as that's of course a very important component. as to how people can get that right on their phones. But right on this first screen, there's a couple things to point out, that you're going to have a customizable homepage here. So you can add any sort of information as it goes, images, links, videos for training purposes, lots of things that you can put right on here and will be easily visible right when your users log into the system. Along with that, you do have a dashboard off to your right. The dashboard is really going to be unique to each person based on what your access is. So any sort of pending trade requests would be listed right here, signups, time off if you're an administrator within the system. It's going to give you any upcoming shifts. We also do offer an information expiration report that will track any sort of expiring licenses or certifications, and when those are coming close to expiring. Along with that, any sort of events, trades, or discussions, which each of these items I'll be touching on as we're navigating through the system here, but that's just, again, a quick little overview right when you log in. So the next screen we're going to be running through is called our member database. And the member database is really where we store all of your personnel information. It's completely up to you as to how much you utilize this. Some people will just have some very basic contact information, while others will really expand on this as far as tracking additional records for any sort of certifications, emergency contact, address, anything like that. Really just a great place where you can import any sort of existing data that you have, and I can load that right into this section. This particular page is really only accessible to more of your administrative staff. It's not something your standard firefighter or EMT are going to be able to see. More what they would see is just their personal profile page. So if I hover over Herbert here and hit edit member, that'll take us right into their profile. Couple of things to note in here that's important is this is where each person can configure their messaging options, as all of the majority of the notifications in Aladtec are all going to be through text message and email. So you can put in your mobile phone, your primary or secondary email address there, along with choosing your preference of how you're notified in some of these different situations. So for when my time off requests are approved or denied, it's going to automatically shoot me an email or a text, for example. Another message here that's worth pointing out is our upcoming shift reminder. This is a great tool for any sort of volunteer or part-time positions, as they're not going to be as regular as a 24/48, something like that. But it will definitely shoot them a reminder when they're coming, when and where they're scheduled to work that next day. And one other nice component of that too is if you're constantly moving people kind of last minute within, let's say 6 hours of their shift, it will also send them another notification right when you make that change. This is also where we are going to house any of your work qualifications. This is something we'll elaborate on a little bit when we get to the scheduling portion, but Aladtec is very customizable. You can create any sort of schedules and positions that you need, and structure in who's qualified for what. And that's really regulating how they're allowed to interact with the schedule. What shifts can I sign up for? Who can I trade with? Those different types of actions. Below that is our time off accrual section. It's a great feature, but definitely an optional tool. You don't have to use this if you have another program that tracks it for you. But if you are interested, we can create accrual profiles that will define the rates of how people earn their time. And based on how you design that, it will automatically load those hours right into these banks. And then as they're using that time off on the calendar, it will automatically deduct from those banks. And then the last portion of the member profile is this section here on the bottom. This is your customizable area. So almost every one of our customers in this section, it's going to look completely different. And from here, if I go under to the member database configurator page, this is where you can go in. And a lot of these functions too, you don't ever really need to call Aladtec. You absolutely can if you need to, but we give you a lot of the tools to make these changes on your own. So you could go in and you could delete any of these fields that you don't necessarily need here. And then of course, if you need to add any options, it's really just a matter of dragging and dropping from the left side here. So it's very easy to build out. And then again, I can import a lot of that data if you have it existing elsewhere through like an Excel file. So that's really, again, how we can just structure out your profile to, again, match whatever your unique needs are. And then another function I wanted to point out in the member database is our mass messaging tool. So if you did want to send out just a blanket email or text message out to everybody in your roster here, all you have to do is just check this box in the top left corner. That's going to select everybody's name, and then you can click on send message, which from there you can do an email and a text, email or a text. So just a quick way to send that out. That's also available right on your phone. So if you are out in the field and you need to send out a quick message, you can do that too. But I do have another messaging tool I'll show you shortly, which is how you can actually, to help you find coverage for a shift. But with all that said, that's just a quick overview of our database. The next section I'm going to be taking you through is the actual schedule, which of course is really the core functions of Aladtec to help streamline your needs. So we have really just a basic template here, a couple engines, a medic truck, and again, depending on really the size of your department and how you're running, whether it be a volunteer, part-time, anything like that, we can build in your templates and have that reoccur, or have an open template people can volunteer for. Also, if you're a larger department, our filters, of course, are very important. You could have anywhere between 5 to 50 schedules. But by going in under your edit link here, this is where I can choose, let's say, engine 1. If I just want to see that particular schedule, it's going to really trim that down just to show me that group. And then we also have a number of different views. As from my experience, depending on what you're coming from, if it's maybe you're coming from using Excel or a different software currently, people kind of have their different preferences. So one person might absolutely love the monthly calendar, where other people are used to seeing more of a weekly view. So the weekly shifts view is a great option also, just to give you 7 days at a time, kind of left to right there. And then we also offer a couple of different daily views. So one like our daily blocks view, this gives you an hour by hour breakdown. You can see your minimum staffing in a daily summary, which is great just to really show a roster for the day. So a couple of different options there, again, depending on what your preference is. But those are primarily, again, going to be the views to see when everybody's working across the board. So that might be more for your supervisors, or to see if time off is available. Now, one of the other pages that's very important is the My Schedule page. So this particular screen is really the only screen that your staff would need to learn how to use. So as a paramedic within the system, or a firefighter, when they log in, and as far as training goes, I can typically get someone trained up in about 5 minutes just by walking them through this screen. So you can see your personal calendar, and this is also where I can put in any of my requests. So really just as simple as clicking on the shift itself, I get an option. I can either request a trade for that day or request time off. So if we go ahead and click request time off, this is going to give me a date and a time range of what I'm trying to request there. So if it's half of a shift, or let's say a whole week, you can modify that there, and then also choose the type of time, which that list, of course, is customizable depending on what type of leave that you allow. One other bonus to the accrual system, if you choose to utilize that tool, it will also tell the person who's putting in this request how many hours they have in their bank. It'll tell them how much it's going to cost them, and then how much they'll have after approval. So I can go ahead and hit request. That's now going to be pending administrative approval, and then we can have that route a notification to the appropriate supervisor or administrator, depending on how you want that notification tree structured. Also, we do have the trades. So if we go ahead and hit request trade here on the 18th, we do have 2 different types of trades. Again, it depends on the rules that you want to set up in your Aladtec system. The 2 options for here is we have giveaways, which allows a user to offer up their shift, and then someone can accept it and work it for you. It's really just as simple as that. But the swap does have some more functions built behind it, where the swap actually requires that you offer me a day back in advance. There's a lot of departments that will require that their trades are paid back within the same pay period or a 28-day cycle, something like that. So you know that you don't have people owing people time all over the place. So the swaps can regulate that for you. You can change your time frame, and along with that, you also get a list of recipients here. So the recipients are, of course, structured based on their qualifications. I'm currently working a Medic 1 paramedic position, so only the other people qualified to actually pick up that shift are going to show up here, and I can send it out to everybody if I don't know who I'm going to switch with. Or it's also very common where maybe I've already spoken with Bob. I know Bob's going to work for me, so I could send it directly to him too and not bother the others. So we can send out that trade request, and then from here, Bob can then log in, click on this trade here, and then hit swap shift. And again, depending on your rules, if it was a same pay period or a different cycle, this list could be completely limited to just show them those options. And then click on any of those particular shifts. We can offer that back. And then from there, Herbert can go accept that. So it really does put the responsibility on the members to kind of coordinate those between each other. And then this is now the stage where that's going to go up for your approval. Now, for anybody who's not working a set pattern, these are how we can build out some of your repeating rotations. We can build that out for the next 2-3 years. But one of the other tools that we also have in here is availability. So for any sort of those volunteer systems that you have, multiple staff that are working at other places, or only have a select few options, we do allow, let's say Frankie here, to log in, hit edit availability, and then it's going to open up a little calendar here where I can pick and choose any of the days that I am available to work. And by submitting that, that's something that I'll show you shortly, how a scheduler can review that and populate their shifts based on who actually said they were available. One other function on here to point out also is the option to share my schedule. This is another tool that we do offer if you do want to sync up your personal calendar with an external calendar like Google or Apple or Outlook. If you have like a family calendar or something that you want to merge your work schedule into, that's also kind of a nice little feature there too. All right, so if we go back to the main schedule, that's where you'll start to see some of these pending requests. So a trade is going to look like this right on your main calendar. As a supervisor, actually, let's grab a different one. As a supervisor, you can review them right from your main calendar view here, and I can click right onto it. Everything in our system is date and time stamped, so you'll see exactly when it was submitted, who it was sent to, and any sort of details there. And all you have to do is hit approve. That's going to make the switch right on your calendar, so you can see Herbert has switched with Bob for that particular day, and it's going to send both of them a confirmation message so they know they were approved for that. And then very similar with the time off request, again, you can just click right onto that, see when it was submitted, any sort of notes that are associated, hit approve, and that's going to remove Herbert from the schedule, which that's now created a vacant paramedic position here that day. So from here, if this is a position that you're trying to fill, one of the other important messaging tools that we offer is called a find coverage alert. So this coverage alert, if you click on this blue envelope here on that day, that's going to give you a list of all your different vacant positions that are out there. And we do have really two different ways that you can utilize this tool. Option A is essentially just clicking this paramedic position and you can hit send. It's as quick and easy as that. It takes about 2 seconds. And what this tool does for you is it's only going to send this message to people who are qualified to work that position. It will automatically exclude people who are already working during that shift, and it will also exclude anybody who's on approved time off. You can choose this a little more manually if you'd like to maybe target a part-time group first. But again, this is going to be a mass message that goes out text and email, and it is going to be pre-populated. So this is a preview of what that actual message looks like. Option B, as far as coverage alerts go, is we now have the option to create what's called kind of a staggered coverage alert. So this is where you can actually define more rules into a profile. And what this is going to do is reach out to people one by one rather than all at the same time. So it's very common for the first option to be used in kind of a last minute scenario or maybe some sort of special event. But for this particular option, let's say we'll choose a wait time of 15 minutes, and I would like that to go based off of the last offered or last accepted. So that way, anytime I go to initiate this filling process, it'll start right where it left off. But there's a lot of different options here. We can add additional sort criteria as far as hours based, seniority. It's really just a matter of, again, kind of working with you to figure out what your needs are and how we can create that in our system. So going back to the main calendar here, if we had just sent out a mass coverage alert for this captain position, this is what it would look like if you had 3 pending signups there that are awaiting your approval. So what you would typically do is hover over engine 1 and go to edit schedule, which as a scheduler or anyone who is actually in here making changes, this is really the most important page to get comfortable with, as this is where you can make any of those small, quick, easy adjustments throughout the day, and also these approvals can be done right from here too, because I can add a lot of additional information in this section. So everybody is kind of unique as to how they do this. First come, first serve, seniority, again, hours based. But this calculator is really nice, as it does give you a total number of hours that they are working in that particular range. You can do that by week, pay period, month, whatever you need to there. And then also I could pull in, let's say, a date hired field here if you wanted to structure in seniority too. Now, once you're ready to make a decision, let's say we do it based on seniority. So Sandra here is going to get approved for that. I can click on her sign up. You can also associate a time type with that particular shift. These time types are customizable and are really more for reporting purposes. So depending on how you're actually wanting your end result reports to be structured, that's all going to be based on what's chosen here. Let's say that's just regular overtime code, hit approve, and then that's going to do a couple of things there for you. So that's going to assign Sandra into that position. It will also automatically decline the other 2 signups, and then all 3 people that are involved there will get a notification letting them know they were approved or denied for that. Some of the other important functions of the hourly editor, if I open up a couple of schedules here, are the drag and drop tools. So let's say if I just pull off June here, if you're making adjustments, and again, maybe you're doing this by station rather than apparatus, the drag and drop tools are really important, as you can just take Evan here and you can very literally drag them from one schedule to another. So just by picking up that name, you can slide that up and down in between those different options. And then you can also grab the edge of these and you could slide them left to right to shorten or extend them. Now, aside from really just making readjustments to your schedule, the availability is also visible right from here. So let's see if we have any showing up here. Because you can view your availability from either kind of like a monthly view like this, or you can view your availability right from that hourly editor page, which you can then drag and drop people right into your schedule based on that information. All right, so I think now that you kind of have a little bit of basics of some of the core features of the Aladtec schedule, I think this is kind of a good transition point to really talk about the ER integration and how that is going to work for really populating your daily rosters and really pre-filling that incident report. So again, these are all of your schedules in the actual Aladtec system. The titles of the schedule are customizable. All of the positions are definitely important for what they're actually working on that day. But I'm going to switch over here and we're going to show you a couple of screenshots of how we can set that up and then really tie the two systems together seamlessly. All right, one moment for me. Switch this over here. Okay. Yes, so again, the Aladtec and emergency reporting integration, it is configured in the Aladtec system. The Aladtec schedules do automatically feed into those daily rosters, and a few of the details I'll be showing you in these next couple screenshots. It's really going to show you how you can configure it, whether you want that updating yesterday, today, and up to 5 days in the future. You have a few different options there, and those updates do refresh live every 15 minutes. So any sort of changes that you're making, the system itself is always checking to see if there have been any adjustments, and it will update those rosters in the emergency reporting system. So what you would do in your Aladtec system is you are going to go into your setup area, and this is where you can click enable to start the setup of that integration. And from here, what you would also do is be creating an admin profile in emergency reporting that has authority over your daily roster. So once you've created that profile, you're going to use those credentials in the Aladtec interface to really create that connection. So once you authenticate those credentials, one of the really cool parts about the integration is it will populate all of the fields based on the data in both systems. So you don't have to hand type or really, search for, am I Matt in one system, but I'm Matthew in a different system. As all of the names that are identical will be automatically populated here. So you'll see that Lisa here, for example, was unmapped because it might have been a different name, but everybody else was already pre-filled in. And the integration will only send over data for the names that are mapped. So I'm sure there are, some admin folks you might have in your system that, of course, don't need their information being transferred over. All of the schedules are going. Let me take a step back here. So the different terminology of the two systems, right? So we have our schedules in our system, and those are going to be transferred over to your station or apparatus, typically in your emergency reporting system. So you can see station 1, engine 1 in Aladtec is going to map to station 1/engine 1. Positions map to different positions. So again, depending on how you have those customized, you can specify that, and also just kind of go through these different drop downs here to set those up for you. And then this is where you can choose, do you want that information fed over for yesterday, today, and then however many days in the future. You can go up to 5 days in the future. More often than not, people just do 1 day in the future, just to reduce the amount of updates that need to be sent for last minute changes. But you do have that option. And then you're going to set the split time to really meet the configuration of your shifts. Are you running 7 to 7, 8 to 8? You can choose that option right there also. And really, it's just as easy as that. So once you go through these different options, which we're absolutely happy to walk you through those steps on the Aladtec support side of things, but I've definitely had a number of customers that we work with who we flip the switch and they're able to completely figure it out all on their own. It is very quick and easy and seamless, but all you have to do is hit start there, and then that will continue connect to those two systems. And one of the really great things about this this partnership is we feel like we've really had a great relationship with emergency reporting. We've worked well for quite a while now, and you know, we're both very responsive as far as if you ever have any questions or need have any feedback. It's all things that we're happy and willing to discuss and answer any questions. So that's really just kind of the brief run through of the setup of the integration and how that's going to populate that information. And aside from the schedule, there are a few more functions here that I did want to walk through in the actual Aladtec system. Again, for any of those who have questions specifically about the integration or anything that we've talked about so far, feel free to, again, drop those questions into our chat here. We have people sitting on the side who are answering those. And then also, if you have a question that you'd actually like to see on screen, I will leave a few minutes near the tail end that we can go over. So I think this is also probably a good time to go through the mobile site, as the mobile site is a really important component of Aladtec also, as far as giving you a visual, because your users, your firefighters, they're going to be really 95% of the time, I would bet, using this right on their phone. They're not going to be sitting at a computer most of the time. They'll be doing this right on their mobile device. So if we switch over here, this is what our mobile site looks like. So right when you log in from your phone, this is going to give you any of your upcoming shifts. It's going to give you any available trades. Really, it's designed just to show you any sort of information that's coming up in the near future. So really that upcoming information. And the interface we've really set up to be user-friendly. So again, as far as training goes for the members, typically you send out a quick little video or written instructional, and that's it. You know, we are happy to hold training sessions if you would like us to, but more often than not, it's not needed. So the two main screens that they would be utilizing is the daily summary view. So this is where anyone can go in and they can see who's working on any given day. You can toggle between those different days. So if you want to see who your battalion chief is that day, you can click on the little calendar here to, you know, maybe you're looking to get time off in the middle of July. You can select July and see who's already got time off on that day. But primarily the My Schedule is going to be the most important screen. It's going to function almost identically to the one in the desktop version. And from here, it's just a matter of clicking on any of these shifts. And then from there, I can click on the actual shift itself, and that's where I can do my trades or my time off. My signups are also all visible right from here. So if I turn on my open shifts, I can tap on the 25th here, and I can see there's an open EMT position here from 7 to 7. Click right onto it, and I've now volunteered for that shift. So again, all those functions are really easy to access from this part of the screen. And then along with that, they can also fill out their forms, which I'll be switching back to the desktop version here to show you how we can set those up. But we do have a lot of different forms that we can build in your system and allow them to actually open that up, again, right from any sort of smartphone, iPad, anything like that. So again, we're going to switch back really quick here to the actual desktop version. And let's talk about forms briefly. So probably the most common thing that I'm building in any sort of system is going to be your rig checks, any sort of checklists or worksheets that you have them doing on a daily, weekly basis. This is just an example of one that one of our customers has created. So you can see different checkboxes, date fields, drop-down menus, lots of different things that we can build in here. Could have things like an end of shift report, and there are different pieces of workflow that we can build into here. So if you want, whenever this particular form is filled out, I can have that automatically send an email or a text message to the person who needs to be aware of that. And you can absolutely create your own forms. It's kind of limitless in terms of the design or the options that you want to structure into here. as what I can do is go in and we'll hit design new form. So this will give you kind of your blank template, and you can absolutely go in and just start dragging and dropping fields right into here. It's really just as easy as that. There's a lot of different options. The attachment field is kind of a cool little tool that, especially if you have them doing these things on their phone. One example I have is for any sort of like damage report. You know, maybe you scratched your bumper on the last run that you did. You could fill out that damage report, and they could even just take a picture with their phone and have that attached to that submission for record purposes on that. And then again, send out a notification, different signature boxes. So if there's any sort of forms that you're thinking of how I could put this into Aladtec, even something just as simple as like a uniform gear request, you let us know, and we're happy to give you some suggestions on how you can build those in. But I think the forms, the thing I wanted to highlight too is that it's really just to help you go paperless in some of those different areas, because if you are doing a lot of these things on paper, one thing you might not be getting is the reporting functions. So by creating those forms and now submitting that electronically, you can go in and you can run reports. So I could see every single rig check that was submitted last month for this particular unit, and I want to know when the different mileage or what went wrong with it or anything like that. So you can run reports on those. All of the reports in our system, including our standard schedule reports, they can all be exported into Excel in a CSV format. You could print it, you can save it as a PDF. There's a number of different options that you can do to actually extract that information from the system. So like I said, we do, of course, have a number of different schedule reports. We absolutely have some customers who are just using this data to review overtime or see how many hours are my part-timers getting, things like that. But if you are in need of, some assistance with kind of your payroll process, that's something we're happy to have a discussion too, if you're needing to extract these hours and send that over to finance or something along those lines. The scheduled time report gives you a nice breakdown per shift per person with all of the different time codes that you have structured in. And then we also do have a summary report that will give you more of a total number of hours. So if you're looking for just a grand total rather than a breakdown per shift, this is also a great report. One of the last reports I'm going to show you here is our system log. The system log is kind of cool because this is, again, especially if you're coming from more of a paper or Excel solution, this is going to give you a lot of nice data for auditing purposes. The system log tracks every single action that's ever taken within the system. It's going to give you a date and timestamp of when that action was taken, who took that action, what did they do, who it affected, anything like that. It's all going to be listed right in here, and that's going to be from day one of your system being activated. So if you're a customer for 15 years, you'll always be able to look back to day one and see what exactly happened and when. All right. Now, as far as accountability goes, one of the other messages a lot of people do like are the required messages. So this is where you can create a new message, and let's say you have like a new policy or just really any sort of important memo that you're trying to get out to people. You can create this message, send it out to whomever you'd like. But the difference with this one is it's not a text or an email. What it's going to do is the next time that person logs into Aladtec, this is the message they're going to see. And I can click on whatever I want here. There's no way to bypass this. I have to check this box that says, I agree that I've read and understand this, and then hit continue, which is going to give you as an administrator a date and timestamp of when each and every person has acknowledged your message or maybe hasn't. So just another way to communicate information out there. And then lots of times, if there are certain documents that you need to give people access to, we do have a storage area. So you can build different folders in here to organize them and upload that documentation, which will easily give people access to that. So again, if they're at home on their laptop or something, being cloud-based, absolutely, of course, they can access that from anywhere. We do have a discussions area, so this is just another section. I think I see it more commonly used if you have like a part-time or a volunteer group where your staff might not necessarily see each other on a regular basis. You can create a topic, and then that topic can then be reviewed. People can make comments on it, and you can have a documented internal discussion here. Just another optional feature if it's something that you see some benefit in. And then lastly, we'll point out the help section here. So the help section is where we have a ton of great videos here that house things like the call or the webinar that we're on here today. So you can review any of those. We have some other just more trimmed down training videos, but just a great resource for learning and training of the Aladtec system. It shows you how to set it up on your smartphone, things like that. But I can't stress it enough also how important our support staff is. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you can always give them a call. And really the best part about that group is when you call in, you don't have to sit on hold or talk to a machine, press 1 to wait another 5 minutes. You're gonna have a live person on the other end of the phone who's an expert and ready to help you. So definitely something that we're proud of, and encourage people to utilize as much as they can or need to. And I would say for the most part, that's just about everything we're going to cover here today. I think in the last few minutes, what we'll do is open it up to any additional questions. And so feel free to drop those in now if you're holding on to anything, and I'll be happy to get those answered for you. We'll just give this a few moments here. While we're doing that, for anybody who is going to be stepping out, I did want to point out that there, Jesse, do we have that handout in there? Okay, all right, so we'll be able to provide some additional material if you are looking for any sort of additional information, or those are pieces that we'll be able to send out to everybody. But yep, so Jesse just posted in the chat there, as you can see. For any more details, customer reviews, videos, anything like that, you can always go to, of course, www.aladtec.com. And that'll give you access to that. Or of course, really the best way to get your questions answered or learn more information is you can always give us a call, which I'll be showing you here shortly here too, but that main number is the 888-749-5550. Okay, so I did get one question here. It looks like this is regarding really putting some restrictions on your part-time staff. So that's kind of in the back end of the system here. So there are a lot of different configuration areas where we can go in, define different groups and different rules that apply to those different groups. But that's a very common thing that we would set up for like a part-time group, are some of our different work limits. So this is where you can define a total number of hours that you want to limit them to in like a week or a pay range, month, anything like that, along with a restriction on the number of hours that they can actually work in a row. And I think the best application for that type of limit, again, for anyone who does have more of those part-time staff, we can allow them to automatically sign up for those positions. You don't necessarily have to review them, so you just create a template, they sign up for it, but the system will stop them the moment that they hit that threshold that you've defined in here. And one other question here, someone just pointed out that they saw the time clock. The time clock is an additional function that Aladtec does offer. So if you are looking to actually have your staff clock in or clock out, we do offer that functionality. That is all going to be done through a web-based kiosk. So essentially they can go in, you can have this set up and configured on any machine that you have. They can select their name, type in their password, and clock in, clock out, which is going to give you some more accurate records as far as timekeeping goes. Perfect. Well, it looks like all of the other questions were getting answered as we were going here. So, yeah, again, I just wanted to thank everybody so much for joining us here today. Really hope I've shown you how Aladtec and emergency reporting can help streamline your different scheduling chores, improve communications, overtime, and any of your other scheduling related tasks. But I just wanted to reiterate again that Aladtec really has had a long relationship with emergency reporting with many mutual customers. The two systems work very well together and are considered the industry best in their respective areas. So absolutely reach out to us or them to get answers to your questions by visiting the website or giving us a call at the number. But I thank everybody again for their time today. And then I think Bobby was going to jump in at the end here just to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I just wanted to, express again for everybody, thank you for attending. I think this has been a good informational webinar based on the Aladtec integration into ER. I want to, again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Aladtec or ER, your local reps, that kind of thing. Will absolutely point you in the right direction for any of your information that you're looking for. With that, Matt, I don't have anything more. If there's no more questions, I want to thank everybody, and we'll go ahead and close this session up.
Sounds great. Yes, thank you everyone again.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
You too.